Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right, just a couple housekeeping rules. All right. I'm Mantra Moody, Director of Events for CMC. Thank you. And it's wonderful to see everybody here today. Thank you for joining us. Just curious, who's attending CMC for the first time? Welcome, and we hope to see you again. So regarding masks, so per the city's ordinance, if you could please keep your mask on during the forum. Obviously take it off while you're eating and drinking, but then after you've done that, please put it back on. We appreciate that, thank you. We love our phones, and we encourage you to take pictures and share them on CMC with the hashtag CMC Forum. Please do that. However, but silence them during the forum because they are loud on our live stream. So if you could silence your phones, that'd be great. Let's see, what else? To welcome our guests, we're pleased to announce the return of our Barnes and Thornburg guest giveaway. Today's prize is a swag bag full of goodies, and I am about to draw the winner, so drum roll, please. Shake it up a little bit. All right. Okay. The winner is Charlie Adams. Congrats, Charlie. And thank you, Barnes and Thornburg. And now, to present this year's Harrison Bill Smith Smithy Awards, please welcome Downtown Commission Chair Steve Whitman and Downtown Commission Vice Chair Jana Maniaci to the podium.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Whitman. I'm with the Downtown Commission. I'm chairman and have been since Bill Smith stepped down from that position. And I have with me today Jana Maniaci, another one of the commissioners, and we're here to present the Harrison Smith Award. This was an award that was first given in 2010 in honor of Bill Smith, who was our longtime chairman, and this represents what would that be, the 12th consecutive prize. The Downtown Commission was actually begun in 1997, and since then we have reviewed, we went back and checked this for the meeting today, 1,661 cases have come before us. This started a long time ago, well, in the mid-90s, as an effort to think about and maybe rethink what downtown Columbus was. In those days, we had a swath of parking lots, and buildings were being torn down, and we were losing some of the fabric of the urban area. And in many senses, the downtown Columbus was moving away from kind of a traditional urban area. Bill Smith's idea was that the downtown Columbus, the downtown of Columbus, the urban center of Columbus, was and should be different than the suburban areas. And we had a zoning code that was a very typical American zoning code in those days, and it was really set up for the suburbs. And when you get down into the urban areas, it's a different place than the suburbs. And so we needed a different way to handle those kinds of things, the zoning and so on. So Bill's idea was this design review process, and that became the Downtown Commission. It was really his idea. Bill, for those of you who knew him, and I knew him actually for quite a while and pretty well, Bill was a thinker, a reader, he was a traveler, he was a conversationalist, and he had a view of what downtown Columbus could be. Of course, as many of you know, he ended up in Miranova, and so downtown Columbus, in a way, was really his front yard. So he could keep an eye on things there. And his idea was that we would have urban living, that we would have office buildings, that we would have retail over time. And these were all things, by the way, that would have to develop over time. But he had a vision for this, and very frankly, what has really happened over the last 20 years plus is unbelievable in downtown. With that, we have this year's winner of the Harrison Smith Award, and I would like to have Jana come up and present that, please.
Okay. The winner is lower.com field. Okay, and the first award is for Columbus Crew. Okay, okay, that's good, thank you. Okay, the second award goes to MKSK. If anyone is here for MKSK?
Is there someone here from MK? There we go.
Congratulations. Next award goes to HNTB. They were not able, okay, will you accept for them? Thank you. Okay. Okay, next one, Turner Construction. Sorry, guys. The next award goes to Smoot Construction. You will accept this one? Okay. Next, NRT and Associates. They don't have anybody. Okay. Please take. Well, we'll just put it over here. We'll just put it here. Okay. Legends Project Development. You'll take it for that?
We'll get these all together.
Thank you. Okay. And Heather Matthias Collective. I am sorry. Blur Workshop. They don't have anybody either? Okay, we'll put it over here. Too many words. Okay, this one, EMHNT. Okay, that's it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much for a beautiful project. Thank you. And for all your creativity and hard work.
I'm sure everyone in this building has been to view this building. This is a spectacular building. It's a wonderful example of what Columbus needs to do. Think big and do it right. And thank you very much to everybody involved in this. This took a lot of time and effort from a lot of people. It was a big partnership thing, and it's great. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
The Columbus Metropolitan Club was founded in 1976 by 13 women leaders who wanted to be included in the community conversation. I am Sally Bloomfield, and I was one of those 13 women. Having been left out of men's clubs that focused on community issues, it was a priority for us to make the club 100% inclusive.
Today, CMC presents public policy forums every Wednesday at lunch with average attendance of more than 200 people. I'm Tony Bell, and I frequently attend forums, which are open to everyone and present relevant, current, and newsworthy topics. I'm grateful that CMC is nonpartisan and presents many perspectives on every topic.
I'm Jane Scott, President and CEO of the Columbus Metropolitan Club. CMC is open to everyone. We invite you to explore the personal and professional benefits awaiting you at the Metropolitan Club. Welcome to CMC.
Welcome to CMC.
Welcome to CMC.
Welcome to CMC.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Columbus Metropolitan Club. Founded in 1976 by 13 visionary women leaders, CMC's mission is to connect people and ideas through community conversation. And from its beginnings, CMC has welcomed everyone. I'm Niele Juris, the Director of Communications and Engagement for the Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, also known as MORPC, and I'm also a member of the CMC Board of Trustees. Welcome to CMC's annual Harrison Bill Smith Legacy Forum, celebrating downtown projects that reflect Harrison Smith's vision of inspirational urban development. Let's begin by meeting our newest CMC members. So if you're here, please stand. Aaron Flynn, Katie Carter, Luke Messenger with the Dolls Arboretum, Bethany Osborne and Jordan Holzer with Cover My Meds, Joey Wingard with Home Care Assistance, Rachel Heine with the Columbus Metropolitan Library. Please give a warm welcome to our newest members. Welcome to CMC. We invite you to become a CMC member and your organization to become a CMC sponsor. On the back of your forum flyers are the organizations that provide for non-for-profit Columbus Metropolitan Club with half of its annual revenue. To join this list of generous sponsors, please see Jane Scott or Lainey Cuthbert. Today's forum is sponsored by the Robert Weiler Company and by Smith & Hale. Today's live stream is presented by the Emergency Response Fund of the Columbus Foundation in partnership with the Columbus Dispatch. Let's thank all of those supporting today's forum. Columbus developers are betting big on the long-term appeal of downtown to both employers and residents. Our featured speakers' impressive list of downtown projects includes a spectacular 34-story tower announced last week for the Scioto Peninsula, which I'm sure we'll hear about in just a little while. Please welcome today's distinguished speakers. Bob White Jr., CEO of Daimler Group, and our host, NBC4's anchor, Colleen Marshall. You can learn about today's speakers in your forum flyer. Colleen, we look forward to today's conversation.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it too. And I'm going to start out with the project that everyone's talking about, your new project announced last week. Some people are saying we're coming out of a pandemic, uncertainty about real estate, and you are ready to launch a massive project. Tell us about it and why you're doing it now.
Thank you, Colleen. Appreciate everyone being here today, both virtually and in person. And yeah, at Daimler, we are bullish and excited about downtown. We sort of started our venture downtown in a more significant way, 6-7 years ago, in partnership with the CDDC and Kaufman Development. We pursued first of its kind, I would say, vertically integrated mixed-use project down at 250 High on High Street, so a 12-story project that had about 150,000 square feet of office and about 120 apartment units, and figured out how to vertically stack those two product types in the downtown core of the city, and then took the success of that project and rolled it into our next phase, 80 on the Commons, which was a similarly sized 12-story project with another 150,000 square feet of office and 120 apartment units. So, in total, we were able to successfully develop and absorb about 300,000 square feet of new Class A office space in downtown Columbus, combined with about 240 apartment units. So, as we got the opportunity to sort of develop the relationship with the CDDC, and look at projects that perhaps were integrated within a master planned kind of development area, but partnered with a partner like the CDDC that has assembled land, put it in close proximity to an amenity-rich environment. We'd already had a couple examples of successful projects. So when the peninsula started to come about and be conceived of, we were very excited about the opportunity. So, the peninsula, knowing that that's a lot about maybe what we're going to talk about today, so I'll just keep rambling, and you can cut me off at any point. But and so the peninsula, actually started many years ago. It's now coming to fruition. You're now seeing buildings come out of the ground, but the stage was set or started to be set for that project many years ago. The collaborative environment that exists in Columbus, I would suggest, is unique and unique to other potential cities in the region, in that the partnership of the city of Columbus, the CDDC, the private sector, to all come together to create environments like the Columbus Commons, to create environments like the Scioto Mile, the Scioto Greenways project, the Dorian Green project, Vets Memorial, COSI and its continued expansion, all those things that again have happened over the last decade or so, represent about $200 million of public improvements that have been put in place to make the peninsula and get the peninsula ready for success and ready for development.
So when you talk about get the peninsula ready, will this once again be this combo of housing and retail space and office space that has become kind of a land, what downtown is starting to look like, this combination of we can go here to work and we can go here to live?
Yeah, I think, development trends follow market conditions and follow what the public wants to do with their both their work life, their personal life. And so across many different regions, you've seen mixed-use development become almost the only way that development is done today. So, successful developments have office space and people coming to work every day. They have living environments that are in close, walkable proximity. They've got retail and entertainment options that are close and walkable. So this kind of live, work, play scenario is what development is really doing across lots of regions today. And so the unique component of the peninsula in an urban setting, typically the private sector has trouble assembling enough land to meaningfully make those types of developments occur. Oftentimes you're trying to assemble quarter-acre lots with maybe up to an acre lot. I mean, just really small dimension sites that we're trying to put together. In this case, there's 26 acres that were assembled by the city and the CDDC to get it ready for mixed-use development. So really a one-of-a-kind site opportunity within this region, but maybe even across the country. And so when that was conceived of and started to be described to our firm, our ability to play a role in it and create the office component to it really was attractive to us. And the beauty of having that much acreage assembled is that you can create a mixed-use environment and a meaningful amount of all those product types immediately and try to create a sense of place almost instantaneously, where normally it takes a little while for those things to all kind of fill in. We're able to do it all at once because of the foresight of the city and foresight of CDDC to assemble that type of land mass.
What we saw during the pandemic was people working from home during the lockdown. You had no choice.
Terrible idea. Yeah.
But a lot of companies pivoted very quickly. And I have talked to company leaders, law firms, who've said, you know, we realized we may not need all this downtown office space. It's expensive. We have people who can just as efficiently and productively and successfully work from their living room in their sweatpants and get our job done. Is that a concern, that there are going to be businesses that say, we're not coming back full bore downtown?
Yeah, certainly a topic that we talk a lot about, that we debated, that we are a champion of return to the office for some obvious reasons, perhaps. But you know, even just within our small company, the ability to collaborate, the ability to create culture, the ability to have seamless transition of activities that need to occur to conduct your business, depending on the business type, is in our minds better when you're together. And you know, this pandemic has obviously affected a variety of types of real estate in pretty significant ways, office certainly being one of them. But most companies that we're working with do value the in-person component of running and conducting their business. Admittedly, for a lot of them, it looks different. It feels different. It is different than it was 22 months ago or so. And so what we believe is that companies will reinvent their office space. They'll rethink about how they work, how they collaborate, how that physical space needs to be configured and laid out. They'll implement some new strategies around hybrid work models, where people will come to the office a certain number of days a week, maybe work remote a certain number of days a week. A lot of the surveys conducted, the majority of folks either want to come to an office or at least have a hybrid approach. There are certainly some and few that prefer a completely remote approach, but I don't think that'll be what will win the day. I think it'll be some hybrid approach. And so as people, potentially employers, want to bring their folks back into the office, that amenity-rich environment that exists in a mixed-use development becomes even more important. They want their associates to come to a place that is exciting to come to work, that has amenities, that has options for them to work in the office even a portion of the day, and then still work maybe either in a living environment that they live in close proximity, or in a cafe or an entertainment kind of venue that's close by. So we've been mindful of all of those topics. We've created an office building in our first phase at the Peninsula that's about 230,000 square feet, it's 8 stories tall. It represents one of the largest speculative office offerings in downtown Columbus in the last 30 years or so, and so it's a significant bet on downtown and on people returning to the workplace in some capacity. So we are bullish. We think that people may lease office space from us, and some already have. We're about 30% pre-leased in our building, and some of those companies may not be taking the same size space they were in previously. They're taking less square footage, less total floor area, but they're rethinking again how that all is configured, and it's being done in a purposeful way to drive outcomes for their business that respond to the new norm that we're all seeing.
Your company has been involved in some spectacular downtown living arrangements, just beautiful apartments. I've seen some of them, and really, for someone who's been here for 37 years, at one point would have never imagined downtown having the kind of living opportunities that we have now. But part of that, you touched on the collaboration, and part of the ability to build downtown was that you would get tax breaks and there would be affordable housing. My friend Bob Weiler and I have had conversations about the fact that really the developers have dropped the ball when it comes to affordable housing. You cannot find affordable housing in downtown Columbus. Why is that? And will there be efforts to build that kind of housing that families, that lower income people might be able to, even middle income people might be able to tap into?
It's a great question, and it is a very timely question. It is something that's at the forefront of every developer's mind, every community stakeholder's mind. It is at the mayor's certainly mind. It is a huge topic right now, and So in 1950, I believe we had about 30,000 residents living in downtown Columbus. By 2000, that was 3,000 residents. So we've had a major decline over 50 years plus in terms of the number of residents living downtown. Mayor Coleman, under his leadership, saw the importance of to invigorate and have a vibrant downtown core. We need people living downtown. We can't have just kind of an 8 to 5 city and have everything shut down at 5 p.m. So in order to do that, we need people living in downtown. That will then drive some of the amenities that they need with groceries and retail opportunities downtown. But you need the rooftops. You need the headcount to support those types of real estate developments. And so to give tax incentives to residential projects was somewhat of a newer idea. Most tax incentives are by municipalities are typically given to office and job creation opportunities because it brings income tax and revenue to the city. So they'll fashion an incentive agreement around real estate tax abatement in exchange for getting those jobs and the income tax. But knowing the importance of getting more people living downtown, the tax abatement was offered and afforded to residential development. So kind of a very bold move that proved to be working. We were up to 10,000 units downtown that got developed, and then COVID hit, and some of our urban areas and districts got hurt a little bit more. Being high density developments with lots of office employers, a lot of those folks weren't coming to work, and then we had some of the social unrest and protesting and other things that just, the pandemic put a halt to some downtown residential development. We absolutely need more residential units in this region and specifically downtown. How we do that in a mixture of product types and a mixture of affordability requirements is a huge topic one and a very timely one that City Council's wrestling with. There's potential modifications coming to that tax abatement that exists downtown to try to spur affordable housing. The challenge, as you referenced, in a lot of these projects, urban development is typically has to go up because we don't possess a lot of land to spread out. So it's more of a vertical dense project. It needs still parking. We're still a city without a lot of other transportation options, and so driving your own vehicle is still very much a topic. And so all those urban projects need parking, and so the parking and the creation of that parking happens again in these smaller condensed sites in a structured parking environment. So the cost to build that structured parking is significant, and then the cost of construction in general has gone through the roof, so to speak, in the last 24 months. So the major challenge that a lot of developers have is in creating affordable housing intermixed within maybe market rate housing is just the simple economics of cost. The cost of these projects is such that it makes it very challenging to rent a percentage of your units at lower than pro forma or lower than market rates. It just doesn't pencil at the end of the day, which then requires, or then will stifle some of the housing options that may get developed. So I personally certainly don't have all the answers. I think this is not a one-size-fits-all kind of answer in terms of how we address this. I think some of the initial drafts of legislation and other things are trying to apply it to kind of all, because that's sort of what you have to do, I think, to legislate something. But again, there's some movement towards maybe trying to customize some solutions on different types of projects that do bear some of those challenges with extraordinary costs to create. But we absolutely need more affordable housing in our region and in our downtown core.
Realtor.com just yesterday predicted the top 5 hottest real estate markets for 2022, and Columbus came in at number 5. Salt Lake City, I believe, was number 1. So we've heard projections that in the next decade there will be a lot of growth in the Columbus area. Now this realtor company is saying, oh no, next year there's going to be tremendous growth in the Columbus area. Are we ready to absorb that? not just in the downtown corridor, but our suburban communities, our lack of public transit systems, and people being unwilling to use the public transit that's here. Can we absorb the growth that's on the way?
Yeah, I think a lot of that growth is the result of what makes our city unique, kind of the Columbus way. We've got this collaborative partnership amongst, civic leaders, private sector leaders, the efforts of One Columbus, formerly Columbus 2020, and the Columbus Partnership to really invest in promoting Columbus in a big way on a more national stage has put us in a position, lots of folks have put us in that position to be one of these top 5 kind of growth cities, and I think we absolutely want to embrace that and do the things we need to do to be ready for some of that growth. We're in a region that is, doesn't have some of the natural, we don't have a lot of the natural amenities of oceans and mountains and other fun things, but we do have a safe environment from a weather standpoint and other natural disaster standpoints. And so we've been attractive to a lot of the data center type companies and others making significant investments in this region, and naturally that's garnered a lot of attention, and so we will hopefully have the continued growth that everyone's referencing. We don't have enough housing today to handle that growth. We need to continue, and we need to continue the growth of that housing stock and housing product, and it's got to be a variety of product to handle different types of needs, and part of that is we still need high-end market rate housing too. We need a variety of different product types, I think, to be the city that we will be and want to be. So what we don't want to do is stifle that I think that opportunity for that growth, and I don't suggest we are. I think we need to come up with incentives that are applicable that can foster both product types and all product types to continue to expand.
We just saw Lower.com, that amazing project, get an award for the development. It is a fantastic building. It's really added to the look of that whole arena district area. And of course, we have the Blue Jackets, and we have, Huntington Park. What are the kinds of things that you think will appeal to young up-and-comers to come to this city? Because there has been an intellectual drain that universities are complaining about. When people graduate from places like Ohio State University, then they move on to other places to get a job. We just lost a congressional seat because of the shrinking population in this state. What is Columbus doing, do you think, that will make this an appealing place for that new generation?
Well, I think you referenced some of the entertainment type venues that have been, I think, very thoughtfully and purposely located in more of our downtown region to make this a vibrant city. And so the Lower.com field is absolutely an example of the next phase of sports entertainment and music entertainment and other things that will come to this downtown area, which I think is fantastic, and obviously the proximity of it to the investments we're making in the peninsula and elsewhere. We absolutely support, obviously, some of the major decisions to bring those entertainment venues downtown. I think the Columbus Partnership, the leadership of the city, the university, all are mindful of the topics you referenced. I think, when younger folks decide where they want to take their career post-college, they want exciting, they want vibrant, they want a top 5 kind of growth city, and so we've done a lot of positive things over the last, say, 15 years to put our city in that position, and we just need to continue it. The job opportunities that I think are diverse and are amongst a lot of different types of companies now exist. We've got this startup kind of wave of companies that drive capital and their investments, and other private equity firms have invested in a lot of startup companies, which are exciting and great opportunities for job creation. We've got the technology sector again coming with data center jobs and other things. So I think we've created the platform. We just need to continue.
Dublin has done some amazing things with that new Bridge Park development that they have there that I think a lot of the other suburbs might be jealous of. It's remarkable growth in a very short amount of time. It's always busy there. In a lot of ways, probably pulling from the short north for evening entertainment on a weekend. Do you anticipate other suburbs are going to say, we can do this walking office restaurant environment too, and will it pull from the downtown corridor, or will it complement as the city and the region continue to grow?
I'll think about my answer, given our proximity here and our audience and our sponsors, but I think, Bridge Park has been a success, there's no question. Somewhat to the surprise of maybe some of us, only in the sense that specifically in that Dublin marketplace, the river naturally had been sort of a barrier. Other attempts at doing things sort of east of the river had not, hadn't been enough of a draw, I guess, to bring a lot of the Dublin population over. But Bridge Park is a great example of a mixed-use development in a more suburban, perhaps, area, but applying a lot of the more urban context to how they develop that project with density, with scale, with walkable streets and other things that are more indicative, typically, of maybe a more urban mixed-use development. So, I think when we think of broader topics, like you said, about Columbus being a top 5 city, things like Bridge Park, things like the Village Center in New Albany, other, Easton, other areas are all part of Columbus in that sense of from a bigger scale, from a more national scale. So having those types of offerings, I think is for the betterment of our region.
What's more important to downtown today? Living or working? Office space or apartments and condos? What will drive development?
I think what we've learned is that they go hand in hand now. They used to perhaps, maybe start with office and getting more people working in an area, and then maybe we'll fill in some residential offerings. They really are more intertwined today than ever. At the Peninsula, we've got Flaherty & Collins as our residential partner in that project, and they're coming out of the ground with 320 apartment units right out of the gate. So a pretty big, substantial investment in creating that residential component of the mixed-use development of the Peninsula. So I think they really go hand in hand right now.
What's your timetable at the Peninsula? A lot of people are looking at that project with great anticipation. So when can we see people living, working, having fun there?
So the first phase, which is a 230,000 square foot office building, 320 apartment units, and 197 key hotel, are all under construction. So the office building will probably be the first to be complete, and we will have office tenants occupying that building by June 1st of this coming year, of 2022. So in 6 months, we'll have office people sitting in that building. There's public infrastructure coordination of streets and other things that are all underway that'll be generally complete by then as well, at least to get to our building. And then the apartments will follow shortly by late fall. I think you'll see the first building complete, and then a little bit further into the first quarter of perhaps the following year for the completion of that. Similar schedule for the hotel, first quarter of 23 or so. So, it's all happening. It's all very much under construction. All actually started post-COVID too. So our partnership with the CDDC and the city was extremely strong. We obviously faced some serious headwinds when none of us had really started construction, and then the pandemic hit. A credit to a lot of folks and a lot of investment from a lot of people. We all stayed the course. We all saw the vision. We all wanted to see this through, and perhaps already had some money expended, so we wanted to continue. But it's going to be a great place. And so the next, what we started this whole conversation, which I didn't really answer the question, was the next phase and the announcement of the next phase. Along Broad Street, we've always seen the Broad Street frontage of the project as perhaps the more significant portion of driving more dense development, more tall, extensive development. And so in partnership with the CDDC and Flaherty and Collins, we conceived of a 30-story residential tower and a 7-story office building that would be atop a parking structure, and would take the entire Broad Street frontage there and actually turn to the south a little bit and create kind of an L-shaped parcel. It is in the early phases of conception. It's been not fully designed. It's rendered and thought through from the standpoint of how it could all work and how it could be financed and structured. And one of the major things we did was apply for a TMUD incentive, which is the Transformational Mixed-Use Development Credit that the state of Ohio has pledged about $80 million to try to spark development in some of these downtown core areas that create transformational projects. And so we think, on the heels of the first phase, that what the peninsula is creating and can create in our region, we think can be very transformative. And so we've made that application and have not yet heard on the award yet and how that'll work. So
A lot of pressure is coming out of Washington during the current administration for projects that are environmentally friendly and sustainable. Was there pressure on you to create something that could be not an environmental drain? And if so, how did you do that?
The way that building codes and everything have expanded over the years and grown, a lot of our products that we develop today are environmentally sensitive and environmentally sustainable. And so there weren't a lot of extraordinary efforts we needed to undertake to make the peninsula, a sustainable development. It more naturally has occurred based on trends, based on building codes. And so I can't think of any specific items necessarily that we've enhanced certainly our HVAC requirements, maybe more specific to responding to COVID, but from a sustainability standpoint, I think we're implementing all the appropriate things that we have to do in a lot of cases today. So,
are you able to tell us who some of the tenants will be?
Yes, yeah, we've signed leases with Deloitte, so Deloitte will be relocating from downtown, core of downtown, to the peninsula. A company called Insight Global will be located at the peninsula, and then Burgess and Nyepel, an engineering firm, will be located within the peninsula.
Is there anybody you're going after that you really hope? I know this is part of what you do. Part of what you do is identify and go after tenants, and in doing that, you have to lure them away from where they're located now. So you are, in some ways, in competition with your friends in the industry, in the business. So does that create situations? There are other developers sitting here today where you are going after tenants that maybe they've had for decades?
Yeah, it is just a natural thing, and it happens obviously the opposite way to us as well. But that being said, our development community is very collegial, very professional. Certainly, we're blessed with a multitude of fantastic developers in Central Ohio. We've been partners with and great friends with Bob Weiler for many, many decades now, and value that partnership and relationship, even though sometimes we compete. So it happens, yes, all the time. And to answer part of your question, we are absolutely courting any tenant that will consider locating within the peninsula. And activity right now has picked up. We have a number of different prospects that we are in the proposal phase of trying to lure them, as you said, over to the peninsula. So yes, we're actively speaking to a lot, and in all cases they would be relocating from some other building, and that will create a gap or a hole in those buildings. Sometimes some of the companies we're talking to are growing young companies that just don't have that expansion capability in their current environment, so they need to relocate. And so maybe a landlord, while unfortunate to lose their tenant, they may understand that they just can't accommodate them. So
you also, I imagine, though, are in competition with other cities of similar size, as we see, they're saying that there's a Western migration, that companies can't afford to be, people can't afford to live anymore in California. And that, because you can do remote work, that's going to make places like the Midwest much more attractive. My daughter lives in Nashville, and they have tremendous growth right now. Skyscrapers going up everywhere. They're all glass. To me, they all look the same, and they have, I think, the potential to be dated. So what are you doing to compete with other cities, and what are you doing to give Columbus a look that can be sustainable?
Great question. So on the competition with other cities, I would say once an occupant or potential occupant gets to the point of talking to us about our project, they may be still looking at other cities, but we're really zeroed in and focused on selling our product and our building and the economics of it and the benefits of it. We're not usually on a more national scale as the developer, I guess, of our stuff, talking about those other cities a lot. A lot of that is perhaps handled when they're looking at state incentives, both here and then elsewhere, and then a group like One Columbus is really the spokesperson for our city to try to win that company to come to Ohio or come to Central Ohio. And so, and they've done a fantastic job of winning as many of those as I think that we could expect them to. So that partnership with One Columbus has been fantastic to try to promote this region and make us competitive. A diverse architectural style, I think, is absolutely important. Our buildings down at 250 High and 80 on the Commons took a little bit more of maybe a contemporary spin. As we shifted to the peninsula, our particular building, is maybe slightly more traditional, but also not geared towards one type of occupant either. We want it to be, responsive to a number of different product or types of companies. It could fit a young growing tech company. It could fit a law firm. It could fit everything in between. So diversity of architecture is absolutely important. Nashville, you're right, is on a maybe even dangerous kind of growth trajectory in terms of how much is happening there all at once. And our city is usually thoughtful, purposeful. We've got groups like the Downtown Commission that have controls over design and density and development. And so I feel like we've got the appropriate mix in Columbus of oversight of that kind of design process that's still respectful of what the private sector wants to develop.
Okay, I do want to remind everyone, we're going to be moving to questions and in-person audience questions in just a few minutes. If you have a question, you can make your way to the microphone. Jane's going to be handling that today. We'll also be taking some, I think, that came in from Overline because we are live streaming this today. But I want to ask a final question to you. You've talked so much about downtown development and how the city has changed and grown. In your time here, what do you think is your singular achievement, and what do you think is still undone? Wow.
I've been fortunate to be a Columbus, Central Ohio resident for my entire life, and take great pride in certainly in our city. And I don't look at any of our accomplishments at Daimler as my accomplishments. So our firm and company is absolutely behind everything we do. My father started our company here in 1983 and has been in development prior to that. So we've got a long history of both our family and our company commitment to Central Ohio. Boy, I don't know that I could pick any one project out that is any more special than the others. We've tried to be responsive to the markets. We've tried to be a good partner, frankly, to a lot of folks. We believe in bringing a lot of partners into our transactions in a variety of different ways. We hope that we know that we're truthful in what we do, but we hope we also have a little bit of fun in partnering with folks and have an enjoyable kind of process to get from point A to point B. The development, world is a complicated world. It starts with an idea, a concept. You got to have a piece of land, but then you've got to design a building, you gotta build a building, you have to finance a building, you have to find occupants for that building. That whole process involves a multitude of different partners and stakeholders.
All right, well, Jane, I know you have some questions for us.
We do. And anyone who in the room has questions, please just get up here and we'll do every other one from online and in person. So you talked a lot about the cost of affordable housing, just how much it costs to build affordable housing downtown. But yet isn't it part of the deal that when you take some tax breaks or some public funding that's built into what your responsibility is? And is that something that could perhaps be also subsidized by the tenants that share the building?
I think, it's a great question. What responsibility you have if you're receiving tax incentives. The realistic answer to that is that the tax incentive environment. So it's just it's a tough thing to because I think, while you may make a good argument that it should be the responsibility of the developer to provide that affordable housing if they're receiving tax incentives, it just may not pencil, though, at the end of the day, and therefore the project just may not happen. And so who really won or lost in that whole equation, I don't know. It's really what everyone's wrestling over right now is how do you provide affordable options inside of projects that are receiving tax incentives, but doing so in a way that the project can still happen at the end of the day. And so I don't have those answers, unfortunately, just yet, but we're all, as a development community, trying to work through those topics and trying to find a solution.
Bob Weiler now has a question for you.
Bob Weiler. I'm going to take the opportunity to ask you two tough questions at once. And by the way, I'm proud to say that we're an early partner of the Daimler Company, and as far as I'm concerned, giving quality office space at a reasonable price, you're number one. Probably made a lot of enemies saying that, but it's true, based upon the hundreds of buildings you've built. Bob, two things. First of all, your building downtown is phenomenal. You're putting your money where your mouth is. And we need new buildings. We realize that, or else we're going to have nothing but older buildings. The issue I see is, what do we do with some of these high-rise buildings, downtown buildings, including those around the Capitol, that are going to be nearly empty? That's my first question. The second is, talk a little bit about what we do to get retail downtown. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Bob. Two great questions. The downtown high-rise building is an interesting and difficult topic potentially to fully address. I mean, when we are promoting our new project, we promote the benefits of our building, which are larger floor plates, which are more ease of transportation vertically, less common areas, all the things that inherently a downtown high-rise building don't possess, and so in some ways we're not trying to sell against a downtown building, but we are trying to promote the benefits of our building. I think one thing we've seen is Jeff Edwards' conversion of the PNC building to put some residential in some of those buildings that perhaps have smaller floor plates, have that ability to convert to a different product type. If something becomes a little bit functionally obsolete, what other product types could be redeveloped in its place, knowing that we're not none of these downtown high-rise buildings are at the point of demolition or anything else. So how do we repurpose them? How do we think of other product types that could be infused into maybe still a partial office building, but some other residential offerings as well. So that's one idea around the downtown kind of core buildings. I forget your second question. I should have written it down. Retail. Oh, retail. Retail. Interestingly, when with the downtown CRA agreement, the tax abatement incentive agreement that exists, when that was amended multiple times, the one thing that was missed was the inclusion of retail as a product type that could receive real estate tax abatement. One could argue it may be the most needy product type to receive said abatement, and unfortunately, we didn't document that. So, you know, retail, you know, as you know better than anyone, Bob, with Polaris, and you know, the rooftops, the folks that are able to utilize that retail, being in close proximity to them, is vitally important to a retailer, you know, looking at their business model and thinking that they can have enough use of their retail venue to justify the investment. And so until we get back to more, I think, more residents living downtown, get a return to work, hopefully policy that gets people back on a daily basis downtown, retail will continue to be difficult. So I think a focused plan around you know, more housing options and a variety of housing options, and the retail support needed with hopefully some form of public incentive or subsidy would be the answers.
So Don Brown asks, should a pedestrian bridge link the peninsula with the Arena District amenities?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we that there are renderings shown of that being a potential and a solution. I do think, and I don't just say it selfishly, but as Franklinton continues to develop, as Kaufman's projects and Casto and Weiler's projects and other things come to fruition on Mount Carmel West's former campus, as all those things occur, I think connectivity to some of the, you know, entertainment venues that we have downtown would be really a great thing to see. One of the things, as you look at Bridge Park, one way that they were able to kind of activate both sides of the river was to provide a pedestrian bridge that provided connectivity between the two. So I think, you know, I would love to see a pedestrian bridge, yes.
George O'Donnell, there must be 125 people in the room, and the question would be, how many of you rode by a Daimler building or one that has a sign on it that is being built? Probably 100%. So since your father's program with Banning and Pickett back 40 years ago, 30 years ago, you have put together an outstanding team. And frankly, it's not a question, it's a compliment. Nice going.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You talked about retail and obviously restaurants, all of that's so important to downtown. I have a friend who's lived in New York City his whole life and lives in Greenwich Village, and he said he'd never want to live anywhere that he couldn't put an egg on, run downstairs, buy a loaf of bread, come back upstairs and flip the egg. There are bodegas everywhere in New York. Do you envision a time when we're going to see that kind of development, that people who you know, have little bodegas, little shops that would make downtown living a little bit more convenient?
I absolutely think it's critical. It's something that's been focused and talked about for a good bit of years now, that we need a better, you know, better downtown grocery option. You talk about food deserts, you talk about healthy, you know, food options, all, you know, significant topics that need to be addressed. And, you know, at the end of the day, if we had enough density of folks living downtown, grocers would want to be downtown and they could make a business model, you know, work. The issue is they don't seem to think that there's enough, you know, of a market yet. And so what comes first? It's a little bit of a chicken and the egg kind of topic, but absolutely something that I would love to see downtown, and a lot of folks would love to see downtown, and I think it's absolutely needed, and it will come at some point.
There's been a couple of discussions at CMC forums about the change of the zoning code and updating the old zoning code that's, 50-some years old. Can you give us any update on the process of that, and how is that having an impact on what you're building and everybody in this room's ability to build housing, more of it, and more of it that's affordable?
I probably haven't done a good enough job of following exactly the process and the elements of the zoning modification, so I won't just make up an answer, which is unique. I usually do. So, I will potentially sort of skirt that question a little bit, and other than, you know, have not seen any impact on us in terms of the product type that we're looking at developing. I think most most municipalities are more than excited with open arms to accept office as a product type and with the job creation component. So we haven't struggled too immensely with some of those zoning requirements.
Bob, an observation and then a question. Observation, you speak very highly of Lower.com Field, yet I have not seen you at a Columbus Crew match. Question, please explain yourself.
Well, Josh, as you know, we would be there, in full force had you selected us to develop the area around Lower.com. So I'll see if Joel Pizzuti will take me. So.
Okay, I hope I can get this right. It's Emily Preto. As developers usher in sources of new tax or new tax base, how do you see this changing city politics and city policy making?
New tax base in what regard, maybe?
It's not clear. I think she means in terms of, well, I'm going to guess here too, in taxes that are being paid by the residents and the people that are going to be your tenants.
Well, from a real estate tax perspective, at the Peninsula, for example, we are the beneficiary of the 15-year 100% real estate tax abatement. We pass that benefit along to our tenants, and so that absolutely is a critical tool and incentive to drive job creation and office users to our area. The residential will benefit from it as well. The new income tax base that'll be created from job creation is really more of the cities to deploy with as they see fit. So it's part of the justification piece, though, as to why they decided to make a big investment in the parking structure, for example, at the Peninsula. So the city of Columbus is an integral part of our project and a great partner, and again, repurposing that tax base perhaps to create amenities and things that we need within our development that couldn't be funded by just the private sector.
You used a couple of descriptions: live, work, play, amenity rich, flexibility. What's missing and what's needed? If you had a Christmas wish list, what would you like to see happen both in downtown or your projects or the Peninsula in general?
Great question. I think my wish list would be more around that retail entertainment, amenity. As we look at the Short North, one of the reasons the Short North became such a destination is because of the retail and entertainment and food and beverage, options that exist. We need some of that clearly at the Peninsula to kind of round out our mixed-use development and have some of those amenities. The hotel will have a rooftop bar. The hotel will have a sit-down restaurant, have a breakfast cafe, have a coffee shop. It's kind of the central hub of our development, and it'll have some of those amenities. But we need more. We need other reasons for folks to come down to the Peninsula and enjoy it, even just on weekends, nights that may not even live, work, and play there. So yeah, that would be my wish list.
I have the final question for you. Do you live downtown? And if not, is that something you would plan to do in the future?
That's a great question. Usually it's our partners in New Albany that try to get me to move out there. But no, I live in Upper Arlington and have been born and raised there and have lived there my entire life. And kids are in school district there, and so not likely that I would relocate. But if I would, some of the condo offerings that have been created by NRI at Park's Edge, and I mean, it's very, very appealing and exciting areas that certainly I could see myself living, but with kids and other things right now, not in the cards.
All right. Please join me in thanking Bob, and Neil is coming back up, but great job.
I hope you found today's forum informative and inspiring. Please make plans to join us next week as CMC presents The Forces Shaping Retail, a conversation with Yarmir Steiner. We also like to welcome a new member who's watching online, Benjamin Zacks from Zacks Law Firm. And we'd like to thank our online virtual seat patrons and to the Columbus Dispatch for supporting today's forum. Special thanks to our sponsors, the Robert Weiler Company and Smith & Hale, and thank you to the Emergency Response Fund of the Columbus Foundation for presenting our live stream in partnership with the Columbus Dispatch. Our thanks to the Downtown Commission and congratulations to today's award winners. And our special appreciation to today's speakers, Bob White Jr. and our host, Colleen Marshall. Thank you all for joining us. We could not do this without you. We look forward to seeing you next week as the Columbus Metropolitan Club presents another community conversation. Enjoy your day.